It's like honesty and humility conjoined together. Like functional growth.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's spot on, as a matter of fact. And you know, one thing that, for example, no matter how much training you get, I'm a fellow veteran myself, and when you fight, no matter, even if you know more or you know a lot, there's always fear, right? And the control of fear, right? Because there's always a mystery of what your opponent can showcase, right? And that's the anxiety question, right? What is there that I can't see? And that brings a little bit of fear. How did your mentor deal with fear, and was he able to teach you something, and how did you teach yourself go through, like, for example, in a competition, how to I wouldn't say overcome, but neutralize that and use it to your advantage?
We did a lot of meditation. We did a lot of visualization training.
How many times you get beat up to learn a technique very well, right? Yeah. And it's almost that exposure of showing how vulnerable you can be. How does that, like, for example, it transform into strength with practice? How did you deal with those first stages of getting constantly beat up, right? And overcoming that thought that, like, am I ever going to be that good?
A certain point was as a red belt. When I became a black belt, that's when things kind of changed, because now I needed to actually train, like, my muscle endurance. I need to control my breathing. I need to do even more training, elevation training with not a gas mask on, an elevation training mask, right? Like, like 9,000, 12,000 elevation to prepare for, like, going to Colorado for competition, for team trials, like that training, it was necessary. And that's where I kind of started to feel a little beat up, because it's different, As a red belt, I was like 13, I get away with athleticism. I get away with winning because I was athletic, right? I had some fight in me, but it sucked to do what was necessary to get me to a better level, which was becoming a black belt and competing with other black belts on that level. So, I mean, it sucked. We did all kind of different training. I still remember, when I got with my sports coach, we would do hard rounds, like, it'd be like one person in the middle, unorthodox training, you know what I mean? Unorthodox, like, it'd be like one person in the middle, you'd have like 3 chest guards on, and like, 4 people around you, like bigger than you, heavier than you, like way more experience, beating you up, and it sucked. But and an endurance training, waking up in the morning on a Sunday at like 7 o'clock in the morning to go to the mountain and go and do like 2.5 mile run around the mountain twice, and then like endurance drills. So, I mean, that training sucked, but it was necessary. So I always bring it back to that, it sucked, but it was necessary in order to go and compete and win. Not just go to compete, because those kids are probably doing something like that, right? But you need to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, which is going to change your mindset. So when you go into the fight, you're not going to receive that adrenaline dump, right? Nerves, you can't get away from it. You know what I mean? Like, I think Mike Tyson said, like, being nervous, like, it was my friend. He was like, I was afraid to go and fight. But, like, it's how you channel that kind of anxiety, like that energy and the adrenaline, how you channel that into the fight. And then that's when you pair that with, like, your flow state, like we were talking about. And then that's when you can just you can enjoy it. Right? It's not so much as fun, but it's like you can enjoy your martial art. You can see what he's doing. You're prepared for it. Your adrenaline isn't going to, like, make you crash and everything. So all that stuff comes full circle. That's the best way that I can, answer that right there.
And then can I circle back to the unorthodox training?
Yeah.
So with that unorthodox training, it kind of reminds me, like, with those being in the center, we're having like a group around you kind of like beating on you, right? That it's unorthodox a little bit. It's not from like a parent would want to send their kids.
Yeah.
Obsession.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, how was class? I got beat up. I was in the middle.
10 guys.
Wow. Yeah.
No water.
It's no water.
Yeah, no water.
I'm thirsty.
Gatorade.
But they survived through it. But that unorthodox training kind of prepares you for that real world. Like it's not in the real world. You're gonna get like if you're gonna get jumped, it's gonna be a situation like that. It's kind of preparing you for that situation in a sense. And how to get out, and not only how to get out of it, but to survive it, right? Like you have to go home at the end of the night. Like even if you get jumped, you still have to find your way back. Right, so you like with that unorthodox training, it prepares you for the realness of the world, and without that, it's going to be institutionalized for the competitions, and like you kind of like, do you want just to be institutionalized for the competition, or do you want that real like that backup real world experience to protect you when you're out there in the street? And because they're not going to play rules when you're in the street. In the competition, there's certain rules, right?
Yeah.
You gotta play by certain rules, but out here,
there's no referee.
There's no referee. No one's gonna fight. You could be bleeding like crazy. You could be already knocked out, right? And then they'll keep going. But then, if you know how to get yourself up, control that adrenaline, you have that balance inside of that, you'll walk away from the situation. You're like even with the fight, even if you win or lose, you'll walk away from the situation. Rather, if you were prepared, you don't even know if you're gonna walk away. Like so.
if you had to measure from 1 to 10, because like I always say this, right? Everyone wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die, right? From 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how hard was it to get to the degree of black belt that you are today? And what is the one regret that you wish you can take back in that whole practice of your career practicing Taekwondo?
Degree of difficulty to get my second degree black belt?
From 1 to 10. That's the scale.
I'd say it's probably a good like 8, 9.
So it's high up there.
It's definitely, yeah.
Remember, we were talking a little bit about discipline, right? And you're passing one generation. There's a younger generation coming behind you. How are they taking discipline when they're first learning Taekwondo? What are the difference you see? And also, I'm pretty sure your mentors probably spoke about their discipline at that time with their mentors. Can you talk to us about that a little bit?
Yeah. So I mean, the best thing that I can say is I can compare one school to another school, right? So in one part, it's your staff, meaning if you're a good instructor and if you're able to create or produce other good instructors, right? That's literally like as far as like the pinnacle of like being a successful master instructor, that's really where it boils down to. Can you create more of you? Can you replicate more of you and then encourage them to become better than you? That's literally the pinnacle. It's not about how big your business is, how many schools you have, how many students, right? How many different programs, Black Belt Club, weapons, demonstration, forms fighting. Those are good things for the school to grow in itself, but you need to have the ability to teach and train others, like the next group of black belts, to become also instructors. If you can keep that, which my master instructor has, we actually just had our first like Shim's Martial Arts Academy like dinner. We had like 13 people in attendance, all from different kind of backgrounds, but it was beautiful to see that after like, I want to say about like 10 years or so, right? Like, everybody like, was able to come back and then like, be back together. So it's beautiful to see that. And all of us are like, black belts. And then also the quality of the teaching in itself, right? So when I go to different martial arts schools, right, like you can see the effectiveness of the instructor based off of the students. So I wouldn't go to an instructor, right, like to go to his school and be like, are you a good instructor? No. Or like, is this a good school? No. You would look at the students. you would look at, are they following the good disciplines and customs of a dojo, right? Of a Taekwondo school, right? Because those things are across the board. Every martial arts school should have that. You see like a higher belt or like an instructor, you bow to them, right? Or like, you're coming inside the dojo and step on the mats, right? No shoes on the mats or whatever. You bow to the flag when you come in. You bow to the flag when you exit, right? You speak when you're spoken to. Right? You're very respectful. You're quiet when he's talking, right? Customs and things like that of that nature. And as far as just kind of seeing, over my years, I can say that it's been really good, like quality wise, like the teaching. And I noticed that there's a difference in the amount of quality you can put into a class based off how many students you have in that class. So I've been with a class of like 2 students, like 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, right? And then a class of like 50 students, right? A little bit older. So the way that you teach them is going to kind of fluctuate and kind of vary. You have to, project your voice a little bit more, right? You have to take them through different exercises a little bit better, right? You have to consider the higher belts and like the lower belts, like what's their level of technique that they can execute or perform.
Help us continue to embrace these human experiences and explore more about ourselves and others by just subscribing. If you like our content, definitely like, comment, share it. But also, if you want to be part of our podcast, all you have to do is leave a comment and tell us what you want to talk about. Remember, this is the platform for the people, and we're here to explore those life experiences that are very unique to you and to everyone else. Don't forget to subscribe.